Today we're making the most insanely tasty and beyond moist berry cake, topped with mascarpone whipped cream and lots of fresh berries. I made the American flag, but you could totally make your country's flag out of any berries you want. Starting off this delicious cake by sifting all of our dry ingredients. 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, and a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 1/2 cups of granulated sugar. Feel free to cut back on the sugar if you want. My mom always cuts the sugar in every recipe in half. So if you want to be like my mom, cut it in half and things still taste delicious. Give the dry mixture a quick whisk. For the wet mixture, I'm adding in 240 ml or 1 cup of whole milk, 60 ml or 1/4 cup of sour cream at room temperature. If you don't have sour cream, you can sub in yogurt. That's totally fine. Just use full fat. 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Now we're adding in 6 egg whites, also at room temperature. These are perfect to make a lemon curd, a raspberry curd, a blackberry curd, any kind of curd you want, or a custard or a flan. So many delicious things to do with this. Just make sure you cover it, and then when you use them, you're probably gonna wanna strain them so the membranes are gonna not be added to whatever you use it for. Give our wet mixture a quick whisk. All right, now we can set that aside and start creaming our butter. Into our standing mixer fitted with a paddle attachment, we're adding 3/4 of a cup of unsalted butter at room temperature. And just cream it up a bit. Okay, now we're gonna add our dry mixture in. So get in there. Normally there's a giant cloud of flour. Okay, so we're gonna beat this for a bit, scrape the bowl down, and just get a nice crumbly mixture together. Okay, I just wanna show you these beautiful crumbs. All that fat is coated in the flour. This is called the reverse creaming method, and it's giving you a crumb that's gonna be nice and moist, tender, and not really bready, because the gluten in the flour can't activate as much since it's coated in fat. The batter is almost done, so right now I'm gonna add in half of the wet mixture, give it a mix, and then add the remaining half in after like a minute of mixing. Now it's time for the second half. That is a nice, beautiful, creamy batter. Just scrape the bottom down to make sure there's nothing hanging out there not getting mixed in. And mix for another few seconds. So I'm taking a cup of these beautiful ripe raspberries and I'm going to chop them in half and then toss them in flour along with some blueberries. They're pretty large, so I just don't want to add them in whole because they're going to turn into a beautiful watery mess. I'm going to add these into a bowl. I'm also going to add in half a cup of blueberries. I'm going to coat with a little bit of lemon juice. Give it a toss. Just want to get them wet. And I'm going to sprinkle with a little bit of flour while I toss them. That should prevent the fruit from all sinking to the bottom. We want to have a little bit of a distribution here, people. Final step for the batter is to fold in your fresh fruit. Just make sure you mix by hand and don't overwork the berries because they will fall apart. This is optional, but I lined my baking tin with parchment paper. It's going to give me a really clean release. I bought a ton of berries for this cake and I can't help myself, so I'm adding in some more raspberries and blueberries. Just press them down and they'll be totally fine. You don't have to add more, but I love berries. What can I say? Place in the oven to bake for 40 minutes. Takes a while because of all that moisture from the fruit. Make sure you turn your pan around halfway through so that it bakes completely evenly. Once your cake is out of the oven, let it set for a few minutes so you can handle the pan, and then transfer to a cooling rack and remove the parchment paper. So my cake is cooled and now it's time to make our frosting. You can do anything you'd like. However, this cake is gonna be amazing with a mascarpone whipped cream. For those of you who don't know, mascarpone is like an Italian style cream cheese, but it has the taste of cream. So imagine like taking a taste of heavy, like double cream or whipping cream, wherever you're at. It's like that, but it's solid. So when you incorporate that into the whipped cream, it still tastes like whipped cream, but it's much more solid and it won't fall apart and turn into foam and like just get really messy like a pure whipped cream cake can. Starting off by adding 3 cups of cold, heavy cream into my standing mixer fitted with a whisk attachment. I'm gonna add in 1 cup of confectioner sugar. Normally I would sift it, but I think it'll be okay. It's not a buttercream and I'm not really piping it. So 1 cup confectioner sugar. If you want to, by the way, you can totally use a little bit less sugar in your whipped cream. It'll be totally fine, especially if your berries are beautiful and sweet and seasonal like they are in the summer, because you want that taste to really shine through and not mask it with a ton of sugar. Add a teaspoon of vanilla in. There is something about whipped cream that makes me so happy, no matter what. All right, just take a look at it. That's a nice consistency. I got a sampler of different vanillas. It was really interesting. I used Madagascar vanilla, but they also gave me Tahitian vanilla and Mexican vanilla, and each one tastes a little different. I wish I had the vocabulary to describe it, but you should go ahead and experiment with different kinds of vanilla because they do impart a slightly different flavor to your baked goods. Okay, now it's time for our all-important mascarpone. The only thing I have to stress to you is that you can't over whip it. So I'm gonna plop it in, make sure it's room temperature, and then whip for like 3 seconds. If you need to whip more, just do it by hand using your spatula. If you over whip the mascarpone, it kind of curdles a bit and turns into more of a cheese. It still tastes good, but it looks less appetizing, especially for our cake, which I'd like a smooth surface for. Now I'm adding in my 8 ounces of room temperature mascarpone. Whip for like 3 to 5 seconds on low. I still have a bit of mixing to do, but I will be doing that by hand. I just want to show you the consistency before I take a test. You can see it's a little bit thicker and it is still nice and fluffy. That's really good. Okay, now it's time to assemble our cake and get started. This is optional too, but I'm trimming the edges just so I have that beautiful, clean, perfect look. This cake is really tender, so I'm using an ice cream scooper to add my mascarpone frosting on. It's gonna give me a lot of frosting because each bite has to have as much frosting as possible. This stuff is delicious. Use an offset spatula to smooth everything out. I'm also gonna smooth the edges out. I really wanna have a nice even base for my flag. I sketched out my American flag and then I used those proportions to transfer my design just using a ruler and a toothpick. Now I have a guide for my flag cake. You can totally do this freehand, but I'm not that good, people. Add your blueberries and raspberries onto the cake. If you have access to ripe, delicious berries, this is like your dream cake. And it's ready to serve. If you love fresh berries, if you love summer and creamy things, moist, delicious cake maybe, this is for you. You have to make it, it's so good. Do you see all these berries in here? I've been nibbling on this between each take, and it's taking a lot of takes to say this. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.